Got a triple dose of Saints news and rumors for you, Who Dat Nation. We got to talk about the head coaching search because, quite frankly, I am fed up with the fact that it has not completed yet. But good news, Kellen Moore, the interview is done between him and the New Orleans Saints. They flew out to Philly last night. We're going to talk about that. And then we're going to dive into the latest major rumors around Mike McCarthy. There's some trouble in paradise, it seems, right there. So stick around through the whole video so you guys can get the latest around the black and gold. Now, last night, the New Orleans Saints, they took their planes and they flew out, Gayle Benson and company, to Philadelphia to meet with Kellen Moore. They flew out late yesterday evening, and the interview ended a little bit after midnight, close to like 12:15, not quite 12:30, but it ended very, very late last night. And with the New Orleans Saints, I think that Kellen Moore, for me personally, is my top candidate as the Saints head coach. And New Orleans, they actually were the ones that broke the news early this morning. There was reports last night from like Ross Jackson and Mike Triplett and the Nick Underhills of the world, but the Saints themselves, they put out a post early this morning at 6 a.m., and I want to talk about that. We completed an in-person interview with Kellen Moore for our head coach position last night. Not often do I see teams post updates of, hey, we had a meeting with this person late last night. Normally you see it happen, like those reports come out afterwards. So clearly that meeting went for a very long time. Clearly it happened over the course of a handful of hours, and it went into the wee hours of the morning. So, I mean, if you're with me, I'm over the fact that this head coaching hire has not been made. I want you to like this video. I'm tired of waiting. If you want the Saints to just go ahead and make a damn decision, hit the thumbs up icon and join me. Let's send a message to Mickey Loomis. We're tired of waiting. We're tired of talking about the head coaching search. Make the damn hire, and let's go do something good here. Obviously, Kellen Moore can't be technically officially hired right now. If they were to make a deal with him, it would come out as like the Saints are expected to hire Kellen Moore. So, I want the Saints to expect to hire their head coach, I guess, is really what I'm trying to say. Like the video if you're tired of waiting, just like me. Because, quite frankly, the Saints could have already hired somebody. They have satisfied the Rooney Rule. They have interviewed a handful of candidates. They've met with some really quality guys as well. I mean, you have candidates such as Anthony Weaver, Mike Kafka. You also have Kellen Moore in the mix, Mike McCarthy. And then you also have Darren Rizzi as an option as an internal candidate. But then Cliff Kingsbury, maybe he wants to come back and interview. He hasn't accepted an interview yet, but the Commanders are out of the playoffs, so maybe. But there's clearly interest in Kellen Moore. And it's very clear that it's an obvious and very strong interest. The Saints didn't go and travel to anybody for a head coaching interview. They brought people in. The Saints went and traveled for Kellen Moore. And the fact that the Saints took Kellen Moore's interview before Mike McCarthy's, I think that speaks volumes. I mean, Kellen Moore, in my opinion, is a quality candidate. The Eagles' offense was exponentially better than after kind of a weird year last year. Not a bad year, but, I mean, it was exceptional. Like, they were a phenomenal squad this year. Really good rushing attack, and I think that Kellen Moore could do an excellent job of adapting to the Saints roster because obviously there's going to be some holes there. They do not have a lot of money to spend. You're not going to have nearly as talented of a roster as the Philadelphia Eagles, but Kellen Moore throughout his career has done a good job of showing and proving that he can work through and manage rosters at skill sets that are very, very different. And on top of that, if he's hired, he would actually be the league's youngest head coach. And in case you didn't know, I mean, he's 36 years old. He'll be 37 here in a little bit, in the summer, actually, I should say. But fun fact, in case you didn't know this, Kellen Moore is actually only 6 months older than Demario Davis. It's kind of crazy. I mean, I've been sitting here saying this the entire offseason. I want my next head coach to be a young offensive mind. You could literally have the youngest offensive mind if you hire Kellen Moore. And on top of that, if things go well with Moore, then you can have him around for the extended future. I mean, I think that Kellen Moore is the best option for the Saints. I think that he would be the best long-term option. I think he'd be the best short-term option. So I really like the idea of going with the youth movement. That's been a thing that the Saints have not really embraced up until last year when they're starting to kind of alleviate some of those contracts and starting to kind of make some of those decisions. Like, I think they're starting to do that now. We're really going to see a big youth movement continue to go on this offseason. So why not make that carry over to the leadership side of things as well? So still to come, The New Orleans Saints, they are, quote, not enamored with Mike McCarthy. Major updates. We got stuff from Josina Anderson. We got stuff from Tony Pauline, Adam Schefter, everyone. Major updates to get you guys informed. But really quick, I wouldn't be able to do today's show if it weren't for our awesome friends over at Prize Picks, today's presenting sponsor. I absolutely love Prize Picks, and I've been able to win a lot of cold, hard cash this football season. And it's time for the big game in New Orleans. It's almost here, so that means it's now or never. Don't miss out on the last football game of the season with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the big game. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks if you use our code CLNS. When you download the Prize Picks app, you'll get $50 instantly when you play $5. Prize Picks is also giving away a free pick for the game where one of the starting quarterbacks will need to throw 1 yard in order to win. If you're correct on at least one or more stat projection, you win real cash. In a fun way that I've been doing Prize Picks with my girlfriend Maddie is I say, hey, let's put together a couple projections throughout the week. At the end of the week, however much money we win, let's use that on a date night. So sometimes we're going out and going to get steak dinners. Sometimes it's Little Caesars Pizza and a Netflix movie night. So you know how it be. But they have this awesome promo with the big game free pick. I highly encourage you to go check it out so you can win some cold hard cash during the big game. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 instantly after your first $5 lineup. Shout out to Prize Picks. All that information is in the comments and description of this video. Run your game with Prize Picks. All right, let's dive into the major rumors around Mike McCarthy. Josina Anderson, Adam Schefter, Tony Pauline, they all provided updates around Mike McCarthy. And this is major rumors, but this is also news because, to be totally honest, I don't know what to make of it. This is very clearly an indicator of how people outward looking in view the New Orleans Saints across the league. But ultimately, I'm not necessarily stoked with what Josina Anderson said. So we're just going to pop up the long tweet right here, and I'm going to go newsroom style for you. I mean, basically, you can kind of just read it. I'll give you a second to digest and soak in all of the information here. Basically, Josina Anderson saying that things aren't necessarily going well between Mike McCarthy and the New Orleans Saints. And this note right here is very important. Additionally, a lot of league perspectives have been given as to what owner Gayle Benson should do when it comes to the operations in her building in the future. I'll leave it at that right now. So you remember that report that came from TJ Jones on X? He does the State of the Saints podcast. Like, there was some chatter that Aaron Glenn didn't take this job because Mickey Loomis was the GM. He didn't want to work with Mickey Loomis. Now you're starting to see more coaches that don't want to work with Mickey Loomis. Joe Brady pulled his name out. Mike McCarthy, I thought that was the belle of the ball in Mickey Loomis's eye. Things aren't going well. But there is an interesting report from Adam Schefter that kind of conflicts this. And he joined the Pat McAfee show and said, I think a lot of people around the league still look to Mike McCarthy as a name that would make a lot of sense in New Orleans. I think right now he is certainly a favorite, if not the favorite, for the job. But they are still going through their process, and we will see how it plays out here in the days to come. Now, the odds right now, Mike McCarthy is the leading candidate for the New Orleans Saints. However, Kellen Moore is right behind him in those odds. And the reports around Anthony Weaver and Mike Kafka were actually that their interviews were pretty damn impressive. And in case you didn't know, Mike Kafka, he's a coach out in the Senior Bowl. And the New Orleans Saints, you know it. They love their Senior Bowl players in the draft. So that's another connection that the Saints might have. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if the best option is to go with Mike McCarthy. I personally think it's Kellen Moore. But I can see why people would rather have Mike McCarthy. So, I mean, ultimately, you got your pick of the litter. You're the only team that hasn't hired a head coach yet, so you can make your decision, and you're not really in any rush to make a decision, although I think you should start to kind of speed things up here. I mean, ultimately, you didn't get Aaron Glenn. You didn't get Joe Brady. Ben Johnson was never interested. You didn't get Mike Vrabel. Like, are you happy with the Saints head coaching candidates? Like the ones currently on the table, Darren Rizzi, Anthony Weaver, Kellen Moore, Mike Kafka, Mike McCarthy, and maybe Cliff Kingsbury. Probably not, though. Just share your thoughts. What do you guys think about the head coaching pool? Now, Adam Schefter, he continued to add on that nobody has said to him, but he thinks Mike McCarthy is probably the guy to beat. But then you go back to what Josina Anderson said, and they're not really in love with Mike McCarthy, and there's some trouble in paradise. But then you add in another twist here. Tony Pauline, who does some work covering the Giants, he took to his blog, and he said this. He was out at the Shrine Bowl saying rumors at Shrine practice had McCarthy getting the Saints job. But people on Wednesday told me initial conversations with the team have not gone well, and people in the New Orleans organization are not enamored with the former Cowboys coach. As mentioned several weeks ago, General Manager Mickey Loomis prefers to keep some of the assistant coaches presently under contract, and many believe that could be the holdup. So to me, it seems like Mickey Loomis really is the problem. It doesn't seem like too many coaches are all that concerned about the cap space issues. It doesn't seem like they don't really want to deal with being in New Orleans or in a weak division or whatever it is. Like, it seems like Mickey Loomis is the problem. And at the end of the day, if he doesn't get this right, his job is on the chopping block. And we may not see Mickey Loomis be the GM much longer. So this hire is very important. If Mickey Loomis wants to continue to be a general manager in the National Football League, he has to nail this decision. Otherwise, we're going to be shopping for a GM and a head coach next offseason. So really quick, friendly reminder to subscribe to the channel. When the New Orleans Saints end up hiring their head coach, I'm going to go live on the channel. So please feel free to join us on the live show. And of course, if you want more daily videos, news, and rumors, we've been doing multiple videos a day over the past few days. So be sure to subscribe, lock us in, get free Saints content every single day by Saints fans for Saints fans. And y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.